Hello and welcome to JoyNews Today. My name is Sweetie Abochi. Coming up, President Akufo-Addo accuses opposition political party of masterminding what he describes as a false narrative that he was responsible for the death of his late wife. Also, mixed reactions greet former President John Dramani Mahama's stance that he would renegotiate IMF deal if he wins the December polls. We'll hear from the government and an associate professor of finance. Also, Electoral Commission starts processes to capture about 70,000 new voters onto the electoral roll in its mop-up voter registration exercise. There's business, sports, showbiz, and world news all in this package. Stay for details. Starting with former President John Dramani Mahama's stance to renegotiate terms of an International Monetary Fund bailout if he wins the December polls have been met with mixed reactions. In an interview with Reuters, Mr. Mahama said his decision will also boost local ownership of future oil and mining projects.
Are we going to renegotiate the bailout and make sure that some more money is added, even in the time when we're going to go into debt repayment? That we are at the upper range of taxes on profit, and so I do not think that new taxes are intended for that industry. But I do think that in some cases the level at which we locked in the royalties is low.
Well, an associate professor of finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Lord Mensah, seems to support the idea of a renegotiation of the IMF deal.
If you look at the payment schedule that we had, again, it has been backloaded. That means that the commitment by subsequent government, going into 2026 upwards, is going to be so high, and that will squeeze us, fiscal, situation. So any government that comes to power may have to relook at the program and then see whether, we can renegotiate it. But I can tell you it is possible to renegotiate. It's a financial term, and economic terms are always negotiable. Once you are not meeting target, you can always go for negotiations.
But how will this affect our external debt restructuring?
Well, it's not going to affect it that much. Of course, we went into this IMF program for credibility purpose as well. That's the soft benefit that we're getting from the financial inflows that we are getting. So if the external creditor sees that, the first negotiations they had with you is not making, the necessary impact that it's supposed to have, they should be ready to negotiate. Debt is not about saying you cannot pay, but once, you negotiate and there's room to pay, I think that it makes the creditor more comfortable rather than staying under pressure and then possibly to a point where you can easily default, or even the negotiated one, becomes a problem. So if a new government comes and the government thinks, we can be, squeezed as far as our fiscal adjustment is concerned going into 2026 and above, and obviously that government needs to sit with IMF.
Governance and security spokesperson Dr. Paul Greve believes this is a wrong move by the NDC flag bearer.
For a former president who never believed in IMF, who took the country to an IMF bailout, we have had to go through an IMF as a result of external shocks that we experienced, and everybody is aware of COVID-19 and Russia's invasion of Ukraine that took the entire world into an IMF bailout and an IMF conversation. We have had one of the shortest SML agreements, level agreements that we have been able to reach within the shortest possible time. We've had very fiscal discipline. We have stabilized the Ghanaian currency. We have the country, GDP, country is growing at about 4.7 now, compared to year-on-year 3.1. I don't think that we need any renegotiation.
Away from that, recreational use of nitrous oxide is a new form of drug abuse. That's according to the Narcotics Control Authority, which is worried about how some young men and women are resorting to this, endangering their health. Head of Tobacco and Substances of Abuse of Directorate at the Food and Drugs Authority, Dr. Olivia Ejimakwa-Boateng, says her outfit is working to clamp down on this.
What we've started doing, we started this over a year ago, is to aggressively educate particularly the youth on the harmful effects of recreational use of nitrous oxide. And this we've done nationwide. We actually did a baseline in all the other regions to find out the state of abuse. It is predominantly an Accra and Kumasi situation. Most of the regions don't even know about it. So we quickly have to step up so that normally these trends are on social media. So we quickly have to engage people in the schools, the youth in the schools. We go to public transport terminals, we go to markets, we are having debates, and we have added this to the routine public education that we do. We've also had other professional bodies support us. Ghana Medical Association actually also issued a press release for the strict adherence to its use in the professional setting under strict supervision. Then, because I said it's illicit, we've had people register it for the food grade. So we've instituted measures to control it.
You heard there the director of the Head of Tobacco and Substances of Abuse Directorate at the Food and Drugs Authority, Dr. Olivia Ejimakwa-Boateng. Meanwhile, the Narcotics Control Commission is distraught over the growing abuse of nitrous oxide by the youth in Ghana, otherwise known as the laughing gas. The chemical compound is legitimately used for medical, commercial, and industrial purposes, but its sweet scent and taste has seen many individuals, especially the youth, relish the happy moments it brings. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku has more in this report.
As a chemical originally intended for good, nitrous oxide has become the new drug craze. Many use disguised means, including discharging the gas into special balloons before inhaling it. Speaking on Love FM, Ashanti Regional Director of the Narcotics Control Commission, Samuel Yeboah, expressed worry over the ballooning abuse of the chemical compound.
People are making money out of these drugs. Okay, like the balloon we are talking about. People are making money out of it. Okay, now it has become their business, the work they do every day. And so they always have to find a way of getting money from some of these things. And so they also have a way of marketing them.
How come people, ordinary people, can then tell that I can use this chemical to get high?
Yeah, let's also not forget that even the hospitals get these drugs from the opium market. Okay. Previously it was the people working in hospitals, it was the medical students or whatever who were coming into contact with some of these drugs. But they also have friends. And let me tell you, some of the students were even abusing these drugs secretly. Some of the medical students were even abused, just like if you go to the hospital, people abuse Pitidin and others. They were also abusing them secretly. Are you getting what I'm saying? So it is very possible that these were the same people who introduced their friends who were not, people working at the hospitals into some of these, the use of these drugs.
The chemical works by triggering the human hormone dopamine that thrusts the user into a ballistic mood. However, studies have found the chemical to have harmful effects on the heart and brain upon long exposure.
Talking about the laughing gas, the nitrous oxide, has some negative effects. They give people low blood pressure.
Low blood pressure?
Yes,
wow.
Low blood pressure.
Okay.
They can give you heart attack. Continuous use, you develop anemia. Okay. They also cause nerve damage. And if you inhale it in such a way that you are not able to breathe in oxygen.
Although legal in the country, Mr. Yeboah believes measures should be instituted to contain the abuse of the chemical.
Control these substances fall under the purview of Food and Drugs Authority. I think that as early as possible, they need to come out with some regulation on the use of these substances. Just like Leo was telling us, in the United States, you cannot possess it, okay? If you give to somebody, you can be arrested. I think we can also go that tangent and then make sure we're able to control some of these substances, because else it will get out of hands, like you're saying. For now, because there is no law, there's no regulation, people are free to do whatever. The only thing you can do is to just talk about it.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Away from this, the Electoral Commission is asking political parties to focus on winning elections at the polls. This comes at the back of the National Security Minister Albert Kandapa sounding the alarm on looming chaos ahead of the 2024 elections, citing grave security concerns. Kandapa highlighted that leading political figures are increasingly doubting the court's ability to deliver justice in an election dispute. However, the EC Director of Training at the Commission, Dr. Serebo Kweku, says parties should rather direct their energy at winning the polling stations, expressing confidence in the EC's transparency.
Like we have always been saying, elections are won at the polling stations. So the voting takes place in the polling station. Counting is there, done there, results are declared there. If you don't have any issue with the results declared at the polling station, then you shouldn't have any challenge in the collation system, because you can do your own collation and compare that with the lot of the Electoral Commission. So all the political parties, my advice to them is that they should get the copies of the polling station results. Then when they get that, then they can follow the collation, because at the collation, if it's the constituency level, they'll be calling the results from the polling station and they'll be tabulating. So if you have the results and you know that you had 10 and they're saying you had 5, we challenge you with your sheet. So
that's it.
Exactly so. What we have been doing is always to use the law to work. And what we have been doing is also involve the stakeholders to be with us. You can bear with me, like Joy, before even the commission will come out with the results, you would have already projected it. Is that not the case? So when you've projected it, have we ever had anything contrary to what you projected? So if the Electoral Commission, if the media people were to have different results from us, then you can say that our results shouldn't be trusted. But the media were always ahead of us, because you can use WhatsApp and the rest to get your results. And at the end of the day, your results tally with ours. So in that case, what is the issue? But in everything that we are doing, if you take this year, for example, we wanted to introduce some new issues into the system with respect to time of voting, date for voting, and the rest. We read that it was dividing the front of the political parties. We dropped that. We know we wanted to discard the indelible ink. The parties were not in support. We dropped it. So anything that we want to implement, and we think that they are not based on by law, but we need the cooperation of the political parties. Once we read that the parties are divided, we dropped.
On his part, co-chair of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, Reverend Dr. Degbe, warned that lessons from the Kenyan uprising are a wake-up call which must not be ignored.
Like the wise people say, when you see your neighbor's house burning, you must take precaution. The countries that we've mentioned as having the troubles, if you go to those countries, you will see that the troubles have actually created more problems for them. Because all that is necessary for confusion to thrive is lawlessness. So there are similar issues in Ghana. The economic problems, exclusivity or lack of inclusion, corruption, and all these problems, they are all around us. How do we solve them? I think we ought to sit down as a nation, and if I may say, as a civilized nation, as a torchbearer of African unity, pro-democracy, first in everything, that let's put our house in order. If we can do that, then we will see that, yes, let's take the stand that if something is wrong, it is wrong. You don't have to wait for the Gen Z to take over power. Excuse me to say, they are also citizens. And as you learn from Kenya, you learn from all the countries you've mentioned, those who took over and said they are now in charge, they really have no plans for the country. And then others of other opportunistic elements have joined, and they are plundering and doing the wrong thing. So Ghana should learn. We should begin to have a dialogue that since we have chosen democracy, how do we make it work that is better for corrupt people to be dealt with and sanctioned, liars, politicians, cheats, to be dealt with, than to spoil our country for us? We cannot, because if they plunder this, if they push this country to the cliff, and bandits and rogues and lawless people take over this country, our children and our children's children, and will end up in refugee camps all over Africa. Is that what we want? If that is not what we want, certainly that's not what we want, we must begin to put our house in order. And we think it is possible. With the media and all of us saying that we should not pay lip service to peace. But now there must be justice, equality. Inequality is not good. Excluding people is not good. This is wrong. Let's all work towards a peaceful, fair, just country.
The Electoral Commission is optimistic of capturing about 70,000 new voters onto the electoral roll in its mop-up voter registration exercise, which begins today. The three-day exercise is to give persons who just turned 18 years after recent limited voter registration exercise the opportunity to have their details captured onto the voter roll. People who could not register previously can also take advantage of the exercise. And addressing a news conference in Accra, Deputy Chairman of the EC in charge of operations, Samuel Tete, said the Commission had designated its 268 district offices, 26 public universities and 41 prison centers across the country for the exercise. We will touch base with our reporters on the ground shortly, but first, here is a wrap of that news conference put together by Michael Ashali.
In the last limited voter registration exercise, the Electoral Commission registered more than 100,000 eligible voters. The exercise spanned 21 days. However, not all eligible voters were able to make it onto the electoral roll. The EC says in August it will give all such persons the opportunity to register in the mop-up exercise.
Currently, there are 18,681,366 provisional registered voters, and we emphasize that these figures are provisional. As part of measures to ensure an all-inclusive voters register ahead of the 2024 general elections, the Electoral Commission is organizing a mop-up voter registration exercise to give opportunity to eligible persons who could not register and those who have turned 18 years since the limited voter registration exercise. This mop-up registration exercise will be conducted online. So if you are already a registered voter, our system will flag you out. The mop-up voter registration exercise will take place from Thursday, 1st August to Saturday, 3rd August 2024. The exercise will take place at all the 268 district offices of the Commission, 26 public universities, and 41 prison centers across the country.
Now let's connect with Nana Boachi Yadom, and he joins us from Kumasi. Nana Boachi, it's great to connect with you. What can you report from the first day of this voter mop-up exercise?
Office, and this particular office is housing about 5 constituencies: Bantama constituency, Inshaeso constituency, Menchia South, and then the Menchia North constituency. But Subin constituency is also here, and then we can see a number of first-time applicants who are participating in the registration exercise. This is the first day of the mop-up exercise, and then party agents are already here observing the registration exercise. I mean, the former mayor of Kumasi, Kojo Bonsu, has also monitored the process. We'll be engaging him shortly on his observation so far. I mean, checking through the process, the first day, are you impressed?
First, 5 hours, so far so good. We haven't heard anything, and I believe it should be like that till the end of the 3 days. We don't want, any noise here, and we want to let people know that we are serious. We wouldn't allow anybody to bring in people who are not at the right age and who are also not eligible to register here. That's why we are all monitoring.
I mean, so far, we've not heard of any...
That is what I'm saying. I'm saying that we want a situation where it will be continuously like this. We don't want anything different because we are prepared for this.
Do you think that the EC has put in enough measures to make sure that the process goes on smoothly?
I mean, what has the EC got to do? They are doing their work, and I believe that we should allow them to do their work. I think they have everything in place, so let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They're doing their work.
How serious has your party taken this particular exercise?
That is why I'm from Accra. I'm here. Okay? Have you seen my colleagues? He was a former mayor of Asakori Mampong, former mayor of Kumasi, former party. See, we're all here. We want to be very vigilant, and we are vigilant. That's what I'm saying.
And looking at the voter turnout, is that impressive as well?
Oh, this is the first 5 hours, so let's not talk about turnouts. Let's look at how the thing goes. So far, so good.
Thank you so much, sir. And that is the former mayor of the Ashanti region, Kojo Bonsu, and he says that the first 5 hours has been a little bit impressive for him, but then they are cautioning the EC to be very, very careful. They do not want any circumstances whereby there would be any form of misunderstanding. There should not be a situation whereby children who are not qualified to participate in the registration exercise would be brought in to participate. That is what he said to the EC. He has been observing the process. He came in not long ago. As I said, this particular office is housing about 5 constituencies: Bantama, Nshaya, Mensha South, Mensha North. Subin is also part of this this particular district office, engaging first-time applicants. And so the exercise so far has been good, and it has been smooth. And he's also a party agent. I have a party agent here with me. So far, how has the process been?
Oh, so far so good. Bantama, the number is keep on increasing in Bantama, and as it is now, we have registered around 50 people, and we are looking forward to register around 1,000.
Just for Bantama alone?
Yeah, just for Bantama.
And so far, you've registered 50 people?
Yes, please.
Going forward, are you optimistic that you'll get to your target?
Yeah, I'm very optimistic that after this exercise, we will reach our target.
Okay, thank you so much. I have another applicant here.
Well, all is calm and collected in Kumasi. Let's now connect with Kenneth Jesse, who is at the University of Ghana campus. Kenneth, it's good to connect with you. What can you report from the University of Ghana campus? My colleague Kenneth Jesse is joining us.
When we got here around 9 a.m., we could only see students of a senior technical institute. They are hearing the numbers to register. We were told that the students of the University of Ghana campus were sitting for an exam, so they are yet to finish the exams. And now we're seeing them spring up. Some are to my left, getting ready to register. We're told that there's been 3 incidences where people have been told that they cannot register because their details have already been captured onto the system. So far, the system has been running smoothly. After 10 a.m. this morning, about 70 people have been registered. They are targeted a minimum of about 200 people. And from the look of things, it appears that they might exceed their target. So it is earlier in the day, the MP for the area, Lydia Seyram Al-Hassan, was here to wish students well, gave them some breakfast, and the NDC parliamentary candidate for the area as well, John Dumelo, was here, to also wish them well, and was optimistic that if he is going to win this constituency, it largely depends on these first-time voters, those of them to my right and those to my left. So he's confident that these people will make the choice of voting him and electing him as their member of parliament on December 12th.
Well, Kenneth, we'll try to connect with you again in our subsequent bulletin, and apologies for the bad state of sound there. But it looks like all is come and collected in Kumasi. They've registered about 50 people, and I heard Kenneth say that so far about 70 people have also been registered at the University of Ghana campus. And away from that, the president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is accusing opposition political party, that is the NDC, of masterminding what he describes as a false narrative that he was responsible for the death of his late wife. The president also says the same group of political opponents are behind the rumor mongering of the controversial Ejapadia book, which authors say represents a grand scheme for state capture under President Akufo-Addo. And speaking at the Ghana Report Summit under the theme dealing with misinformation and disinformation in line with the upcoming election, the President Akufo-Addo has called in Ghanaians to reject fake news, as he says politics must be based on issues devoid of attacks. My colleague Blessed Sugam joins us on phone now. Blessed, what more can you report on the happenings at the Ghana Report Summit and what the president has been saying?
The president's concern is stemming largely from, what he describes as, a constant attack on his person, sponsored allegedly by his political opponents. The reason for which he believes Ghanaians must address collectively this issue of fake news, misinformation and disinformation, especially as the country heads into the crucial presidential and parliamentary elections in less than 200 days. The president has been rallying everyone present here, including the IGP, the Lady Chief Justice and other state officials and non-state actors to come together to deal with this issue of misinformation and disinformation.
Well, thank you so much, Blessed, for bringing us updates on that. Now, in other stories, a Reverend Minister of the Shalom Gospel Church, Andrew Dawuni, has appealed to government and other benevolent organizations to support the two-wing academy with resources to improve learning in the school. He says the school was established after he noticed children in the Zo Bangalan Yili community and several others in the Kumbungu district were walking several kilometers to access education. Reverend Dawuni believes the school is his way of supporting communities he evangelizes in.
The school, established in 2018 in the Kumbungu district, was to help get children who loiter about and not in school in the Zogban Lanyele and several other communities in that enclave to school. It was also to solve the problem of other children who walk long distances to school. The school, which is solely funded by the proprietor, is in dire need. This came to light at a dedication of a school block in the school. Speaking in an interview, Reverend Andrew Dawuni said they have had to allow the pupils pay a fee of 5 cedis each term to help sustain the school.
We have gathered here to inaugurate and dedicate the school because God has blessed us with this structure. I am a technical man, I do building and construction. So the little money and contract that I had, I used that money and that profit to establish this school for the purpose of these children to educate themselves. So that is what this school is all about. And today we are celebrating because we have seen the success of this school. So I'm appealing to all parents that they should support in diverse ways. And also, I also appeal to stakeholders, the government, to also come in. When you look, we have so many challenges because I'm the only person. And a village like this, fees is very little because they pay monthly 5 cedis. And I make it a term, 20 Ghana cedis. And you can imagine textbooks and also exercise books, learning materials, and also teachers. Because I had 6 teachers, including myself, 7 teachers. And I pay them every month. And actually, I'm appealing to the government to come to our aid and NGOs, stakeholders, individuals.
The regional director of the National Schools Inspectorate Authority, Napari Salifo, said the infrastructure was on point to facilitate teaching and learning.
When I look at the suitability of infrastructure, when I look at sports facility and recreational facility to promote sports and games, in fact, he's on point. And person like what Pastor has done, I give him credit because his building is fit for purpose, and anytime recommendations are made for him to implement, he carries them to the letter, and that is what we are after. To parents gathered here and the chief elders, my message to them is that they should feed the school with children so that it doesn't become a white elephant. Besides that, sending your child to school is one aspect of the story. You also need to play your parental role.
We'll take a quick break. We return with business anchored by Winston Taki. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Business on Joy News Today. My name is Winston Taki. Now to our first story. According to PwC, approximately 43% of family-owned private businesses lack a succession plan. However, a partner at PwC, Edward Eram Gamado, believes that deliberate unplanned business cohesion can significantly improve these statistics and drive growth. He spoke with Joy Business at the PwC Business Forum in Accra. Private companies encounter a variety of challenges, including sustainability, succession planning, regulatory compliance, and good corporate governance. Research by PwC reveals that 43% of family firms lack a succession plan and only 12% survive to the third generation. In an interview with Joy Business, Edward Eram Gomado, a partner at PwC, emphasized the importance of a planned cohesion to drive business expansion.
When it comes to private companies, you are not only focused on the business success, you also need to plan for the family cohesion. And so having the family success and business success working together hand in hand takes you to that destination. Now, when you go through that process, you will develop what we call the governance. Governance for the family, governance for the business. Family businesses are significant contributors to economies they operate in. In terms of employment, private companies contribute in excess of 60% to national employment.
Executive Chairman of Nyaho Healthcare Limited, Elikem Tamaklo, highlighted the necessity of a robust corporate governance structure.
I think that to be able to bring people together in the board, and if you talk about corporate governance, it's really about how you have the right skills at the table for the type of decisions you have to make. And so that's really what corporate governance is. And then once you have the right people, can they work together to help the business thrive? Because businesses support not just the customer, but the employees. And that's the bedrock of society, everyone who's in paid jobs. So if we look at whatever government is doing, without a strong business platform, you don't get the tax.
Senior Manager and Family Business Consultant at PwC, Inkeruka Fosuhene Echampon, advised business owners to involve their families from the onset.
From day one, when you give birth to the child, it should be part of the child's growing up. What that does is the child sees the business as something worth and not being forced down their throat at a particular stage of their life because they've been part of it. Maybe you own a bakery. What can the children do? They can just come, bake one loaf of bread, get their hands dirty. If you cook, get them involved. If you are in catering, get them involved. I mean, from day one, get your family involved.
The PwC Private and Family Business Forum gathered key business brands and experts to discuss strategies for achieving sustainable growth and profitability. Now, moving on, women and young entrepreneurs who are into agribusiness are heaving a sigh of relief following support received from the Absa Bank Young Africa Works project. According to the head of agribusiness at Absa Bank, William Nate, the 5-year project is intended to lend financial support about 5,000 businesses and create 50,000 jobs. He's disclosed this at a project which is in collaboration with MasterCard Foundation's impact positively on the lives of farmers in the Upper West region. JoyNews Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam has this report. Private companies encounter a variety of challenges, including
one of the stumbling blocks to women and young people who want to go into businesses is their inability to get financial support to execute their lifelong dreams. Due to these financial challenges, their dream of pursuing further in their businesses are often truncated. Based on the aforementioned, the Absa Young Africa Works project was started 4 years ago with the aim of supporting agribusinesses with special preference for women-led businesses and young entrepreneurs. In collaboration with MasterCard Foundation, they help women and young entrepreneurs to have access to loan facilities payable at a 10% rate. William Nate is the head of agribusiness at Absa Bank, and he threw further light on the project.
What we realized was that businesses in these areas were struggling because of high interest rates and the lack of collateral to be able to access financing. So we got into this partnership, talked with our partner MasterCard Foundation, and then co-created a product that would work for women and for agribusinesses. What we came up with was to lend to about 5,000 businesses over the 5-year period of the project, create 50,000 jobs, work with smallholders. That would increase lending into the very last mile. When we say last mile, we mean the people on the ground doing the farming at the very rural areas. So the actors that we looked at in the value chain was right from the beginning, which include the input dealers, the farmers themselves. We looked at aggregators. We looked at processors who are working locally to be able to grow this business.
Apart from the credit facility, they are also giving training on the field where they are taught by consultants on best agronomic practices to enable them have good yields and also increase their production. In the Upper West region, they have about 10 partners they have engaged and supporting. One of them is Yoruba-based Chief Executive Officer of EA Farms, Emmanuel Awa. He spoke about the impact the After Young Africa Works project has made in his business.
I mean, the stress we used to go through in paying farmers, family, has gone down. Now farmers get their payment very early. We also, as a business, you know, that confidence in the sorghum value chain where farmers were scared that, oh, sorghum, we can't pay, delays in payment and what have you. I mean, that confidence in the sorghum value chain has been built as a result of this Absa Young Africa project. And I will also say that looking at sorghum production today, the demand has increased.
That will be all for business. Up next is sports and entertainment news after this break.
Let's do sports now on JN Today with me, Haruna Mubarak. Now, boxing administrator Michael Amo-Bediako has launched a scathing attack on boxing authorities over the country's failure to qualify any boxer for the ongoing Olympic Games. It is the first time in about 2 decades that Ghana will not be represented in boxing at the Olympics. Michael described the situation as criminal and is demanding immediate changes.
I was devastated. We should do better. We need to do better. We can do better. These are the future of Ghana boxing, the amateurs. And if you look around the world, a lot of countries invest heavily in their amateur program. And these boxers then become professional fighters and raise the flag for their countries around the world. For us not to have any boxer qualify is criminal. That means fundamentally, that means we are doing something wrong. So we have to look at ourselves. We have to look at the setup. We have to look at how this came about, and we have to try and fix it. You can't just keep going on the same way and expect every 30 years to get 1 bronze medal. It's not good enough. Not good enough. It's not good enough. So when things like this do not work, when we have no boxer competing in the Olympics, then maybe change is needed, whether it's change of personnel, whether it's change of tactic, whether it's change of investment, whether it's change of mindset. But obviously to not qualify for the Olympics means that change is needed for us to improve the system and have boxers qualify for these international.
Now, the government might be commissioning 5 youth resource centers in the coming months as work is set to resume to complete the projects. Construction had stalled at over 5 centers in the last few months due to financial challenges. However, the Sports Ministry seems to be making headway in securing the necessary funds for work to continue. Here is the CEO of the National Youth Authority, Pius Enam Hajide.
The Minister's instructions were that we should expedite action and ensure the prompt completion of 5 out of the 6 facilities. Along the line, the governing board added 1. So as we speak, 6 of the youth resource centers are very advanced. 1 having been commissioned is now in use. From today's meeting, we are hopeful that in the coming days, work will resume on all of the other 5. And we are hopeful that within the coming months, we should commission the 5 other projects, and then we can put them to use. On the issue of the cost, we are in the process. As I'm sure you all know, the Phase 2 contract was signed sometime in 2020. And due to some challenges, which has a background, and we can deal with the background subsequently, the work was delayed. So we have had to do a variation because the prices of things have changed. And so we are in a process to complete the variations. And so I prefer that we can wait for those processes to terminate, then we can put the real cost. You know that the nature of the contract is a reimbursement contract. So the contractors have done some work, and then they will raise certificates and we'll pay them. And I don't want to mention how much we have paid to the contractors. That will be very small. We are talking about the contract sum. Very soon, the variations would have been approved by the Public Procurement Authority, and then we can put those out.
And that's your sports on JN Today. My name is Haruna Mubarak. World News comes up shortly. Please stay.
Welcome back. Let's do some world news now. And Nigerian troops and police have tightened security in Lagos and the capital Abuja as nationwide protests over the rising cost of living kicked off and are expected to continue for 10 days. Africa's most populous country is struggling with soaring inflation and a sharply devalued naira currency after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu introduced reforms a year ago aimed at reviving the economy. Tagged #EndBadGovernanceNigeria, the protest movement has won support with an online campaign among Nigerians who are battling with food inflation at 40% and fuel prices that have tripled since Tinubu introduced his reforms. Ayo Charles is a journalist at Megalectrics Media in Lagos State, and he joins us now via phone. Ayo, thank you so much for connecting with us. Now, on the first day of this End Bad Governance protest, what is the current state of the protest?
Okay, thank you very much. The protest currently is going on at Ojota here in Lagos, Nigeria. Some other protesters, the pro-government and some agitating against the government, started from the state capital in Ikeja here in Lagos, and most of them are now converged here with having different slogans of end hunger, end bad governance, remove, bring back fuel subsidy. Government can't franchise us from this process, but we should be civil about it.
I know you are at the protest grounds, but we are getting some interference in the connection. So could you reposition and then speak to us before you move?
Okay, definitely we're having a very cloudy environment. Maybe the weather is really cooperating with us because it's not raining and it's not the sun is not shining. But again, the youth are all out, clamoring for a good governance, clamoring for a better life, clamoring to end up, especially in the country, because it's the situation is getting bad. And the youth this afternoon, just a few minutes ago, had a gyration rally where they were shouting Tinubu only, Jagaban only, APC only. Those are the slogans they've been chanting.
And what does this only mean?
Okay, the only sorry because that's a Yoruba slogan for thief.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are what they've been really chanting, and it's not really quite been easy yet. So we have the security personnel not left out. They're really on ground. The Nigerian police, the Department of State Security Service, that's the Nigerian Intelligence Agency. We have the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. They are all invincible, and even the Commissioner of Police of Lagos State, Mr. Fakoyede, was here to brief the protesters.
Thank you so much, Ayo Charles, for bringing us updates, and hopefully we can connect with you in our subsequent bulletins during this 10-day protest. Ayo Charles is a journalist at Megalectric. It's a media outlet in Lagos State in Nigeria. Coming up next is entertainment. You don't want to go away.
Good afternoon, you're welcome to the Showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline Ansuma Yebwa. Now, Jamaican dancehall musician Vybz Kartel is a free man. The artist, whose real name is Adidja Palmer, had his murder conviction overturned and won't face a retrial, marking the end of a long legal battle.
Vybz Kartel, who was 48, was jailed in 2014 for the alleged murder of Clive Lizard Williams. Despite maintaining his innocence, he was sentenced to life with a minimum of 35 years. However, UK judges overturned his conviction in March, and now Jamaican appeal judges have decided not to retry him. The case had been shrouded in mystery since 2011 when Williams was reported missing after a visit to Vybz Kartel's house. The trial star witness, Lamar Cho, claimed that they were attacked over missing firearms and Williams was never seen again. With his release, Kartel, who is known for hit songs like Clarks, Rompin' Shop, and Summertime, can now focus on his health and music. He also became the first dancehall artist to star in his own reality TV show, Teacher's Pet. While Ghanaian musicians have also been reacting to his release. As Vybz Kartel steps back into the spotlight, fans are eager to see what the dancehall king has in store for them.
Well, congratulations to him. Now, she has deep love for quality education and a passion for social issues, which drove her to venture into education by establishing the Just Like Mama Daycare and Yvonne Nelson International School. But what was her motivation? My colleague Nicholas Ekoyamwa caught up with her.
Many Ghanaian celebrities have ventured into private businesses. They are all driven by passion, job creation, and the desire to diversify their income streams. Actress Yvonne Nelson is one of them. She has ventured into educational entrepreneurship by setting up the Just Like Mama Daycare. But what inspired her to enter the field of education?
She'll come home with a bruise, with an insect bite, and you'd expect the school to call you to report before she gets home, but then you, the mother or the parent, would notice before, the school even says anything. So that was like a minus, a red flag. And with the academics too, I wasn't really getting anything from her from school, because I believe that for parents, you should see a change in their vocabulary, the things they're saying. They're using please, thank you, mommy. There was none of that happening. So I just knew because I'm such a, I watch everything my daughter does. I help her with reading. I print flashcards for her. I'm really into education. So I got a little worried, and I thought to myself, this is something that I can actually do and do well, because I'm a very passionate human being.
Yvonne Nelson did not stop just at establishing a daycare center. She explains how her parents of her Just Like Mama Daycare Center encouraged her to provide them with a primary school facility so they can have more comprehensive educational options.
And so we had a few parents who kept asking us, so Yvonne, after kindergarten, what's next? And I thought they were joking. I thought it was just, something to make my head feel big and all of that. But no, they actually meant what they were saying. They wanted their kids to stay here. So then we had to register a primary school and make Yvonne Nelson International School happen.
The celebrated actress, also known for her book, I Am Not Yvonne Nelson, reveals how she is able to juggle between school management and the daunting activities of filmmaking. Nicholas Ekoyamo's report for Joy News.
On that note, is a wrap for the Showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline and Sumayabwa. Over to you, sweetie.
Jackie, thanks for bringing us that story. After 13 years, he's finally out. Do you expect some collaboration between him and Shatawale and Stonebwoy? You mentioned that he's their role model.
Is very excited and he wants to go to Jamaica just to collaborate with him. So fans are very expectant of that.
And I'm sure if it happens, you'll be there to bring us the details. Definitely. But that's our show for this afternoon. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I just spoke to the Nigerians, so I'm saying thank you so much. Thank you so much for staying with us. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com and keep yourself updated and well informed. My name is Sweetie Abochi. You're back on your screens again tomorrow. Till then, bye.